I just wanted to talk a little bit about lunch. So I got kind of a late lunch going here. And one of the things I talk about in my books is that we really want diversity. We want food diversity, especially vegetable and fruit diversity in the diet because it helps to promote microbiome diversity. And so I got some food today and I just wanted to share some of the things that are going to be on my plate. So welcome, let me know where you're from. I see a bunch of you joining, welcome. So one thing is I just got some purple broccoli. And I don't usually eat purple. I usually eat kind of regular broccoli or broccoli rabe. I wonder if you've had purple broccoli before. Can you even see the purple? There's like a beautiful purple hue to it. So that's one of the things I'm eating. The other thing that I'm going to make for my late lunch is a green that I just got called shungiku. So that's unusual. It's different from my usual greens. I eat a lot of kale and I try to mix it up. So not just eat dino kale every time, but eat different types of kale. I've got a whole bunch of squash here that I'm going to chop up. It's great to try to have diversity of color along with diversity of vegetable species. So that's what I'm going to have with this meal that I make. My family's gone. So my daughter had a sleepover. My husband has a bike ride. And I usually like to do some meal prep and to cook on the weekends. I also try to shop for about 3 to 4 days. I wonder if you guys do that too. And I'm just here in my kitchen. You can kind of see, quick look around my kitchen. It's a little bit messy. So I'm here in the kitchen drinking some filtered water. Do you have a water filter at home? I wonder if you've tested your water to see what's in it. I'm just about to send off some vials of my water. I like to use the National Testing Laboratories. It costs about $150 to do a water check and kind of check on your water supply. I like to use glass for my filtered water. I just learned, I did the Institute for Functional Medicine Environmental Health Advanced Practice module, and I learned about how stainless steel, which is what I usually travel with, I'm not traveling now, but it's what I usually travel with, that can contain nickel. And so nickel's in stainless steel, and there's a chance that that could actually get into your water, cookware too, because what I learned was that about 13 to 17% of women have a nickel allergy. And usually you know that because you can't wear cheap jewelry. You can't wear cheap rings, for instance. So nickel is in stainless steel. So I'm trying to move away from using stainless steel for my water, my filtered water. So that's something you may want to consider too. So I'm going to cook these vegetables. I'm going to chop up the greens that I mentioned. I'm going to chop up the purple broccoli and the squash, and I'm going to cook it in water. I try to get away, another thing I learned at IFM is to try to get away from cooking in oil because you're breaking down the oil when you cook with it. A lot of people don't realize that. They think, well, as long as I stay away from the smoke point, it should be okay. But it's better to actually cook with water. So I'm going to use a cast iron pan. I'm low in iron, so I think that's the best choice for me. I also use Scanpan and Greenpan and Creuset, the enamel covered cast iron pots. Maybe I'll just bring you over to where my pots are. So I try to stay away from using anything with Teflon because we know that that's bad for you. In fact, the half-life of Teflon is about 8 years. That's a half-life, so it takes a really long time to get that out of your system. So here's a Scanpan that I use. but I'm actually going to use cast iron today. So my cast iron pot's in here. Here's the cast iron pot. So I'm low in iron, still menstruating. That's what I'm going to use for cooking up my vegetables. So I just wanted to share with you kind of what's on the menu for lunch for species diversity. I hope that makes sense. Let me know if you have any questions. I see a bunch of you have joined, and I'll just keep coming back to this particular video so that we can interact and you can ask questions about cooking and about species diversity and the microbiome. I just got a test back. I'll take you over there to where my test is. So I just did this test called Metabolomix. It's a test that I run from Genova, and I found this really interesting stuff. So this test is relatively new from Genova, and one of the things I run in my patients is a NutrEval test. And you can learn about NutrEval if you Google Genova NutrEval. I'll type that in when we're finished here. And it's a test that I run because I like to look at my micronutrients and heavy metals and kind of the micronutrient status of a person, what's going on with omega-3s versus omega-6s, and what's going on in terms of dysbiosis, and also whether you have fungal overgrowth. And a lot of those results came back in the Metabolomix test. So I learned, for instance, that I'm low in B2, B3, B6, and B12, even though I've been taking a B supplement. I'm borderline with vitamin A, carotenoids, vitamin E, tocopherols, alpha lipoic acid, B1, B9, magnesium, always low with magnesium, and manganese. So I need to increase my supplementation of those things, and they give you recommended dosages. If you want to learn more about this particular test and working with me, you can go to saragottfriedmd.com/patient. So that's where you can sign up to apply to work with me when I open my practice in about a month. So I learned that I have a high need for probiotics. I've been taking probiotics, but not enough. I need to take about 50 billion a day. I also have an increased need for pancreatic enzymes, so I'm going to start taking those. My fatty acids were actually pretty good. So was my zinc. But I still have dysbiosis. I've been working since 2017, trying to address my small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, and I still have a ways to go. So what came back on this result was my DHPPA was elevated, 15.9, which is about 3 times the upper limit. And also my yeast fungal dysbiosis markers were all elevated. So I need to address that. I don't eat sugar, but for whatever reason, I'm just someone who tends to grow yeast. And I've been doing ketosis. I wonder if that's playing a role in terms of causing problems with feeding yeast, because ketones can do that. So that's what's going on here in my kitchen. I'm going to try to address some of those micronutrient deficiencies with the veggies. I'm going to do a bunch of different colors today. I've got purple, I've got green, I've got yellow, and I also have some purple cabbage. So I'm going to put the food on a bed of purple cabbage and cook in water. So I hope you picked up some tips. We went through some tips, and I'm going to do some more lives from my kitchen. Let me know if you have particular questions. Okay, guys, I'm going to finish for now, and I'll be back maybe next weekend to talk more from Dr. Sara's kitchen.